Sunday. I'm sorry, every Sunday. And so we missed last week because I was I was traveling. So I apologize. Here we are with episode 10. Noah, you wanted to go. I'll turn it over to you. You wanted to go on your soapbox because I think you were excited about UFC fight last night.
Actually, I wanted to talk about. We'll talk about the UFC fight in a bit. I wanted to just. I just wanted to share with you guys some thoughts. As I normally try to do on the podcast, I give my thoughts. So I'm on day 22 or so of Sam Harris's Waking Up app where I use the meditation. And the meditation is only about between 10 to 15 minutes tops. And he talks for about 3 or 4 minutes at the end. And so now I'm in my third week of it, and I'm doing it every day. And I want you to know that I'm starting to see like very deep changes in how I catch myself thinking and reacting and the internal dialogue that's occurring. So I wanted to share with you just how good of a practice it is just for 10 minutes a day to spend, just to get with that app and sit, listen, and just take that 10 brief minutes just to sit and to let your thoughts race like they do every moment of the day. But I've been doing that in combination with intermittent fasting, and I've been down to eating maybe just one meal a day, a couple snacks here and there. That, and I had the flu 2 weeks ago. That was a Monday and Tuesday, and I was so weak. I was in bed, and I was too weak. I was too weak to reach my hand out just to pick up my water bottle. That's how weak I was.
Oh man, that's not good.
And
was the flu not the corona?
It could have been the corona. Who knows? But whenever I was feverish, it's feverish, and you go through intense hallucinations, or some dreams, and my dreams have been lately. They've been very clear, lucid, and active, and it's just been very interesting lately. In the last 2 weeks, I've noticed an uptick in how clear my thinking is, and I want to share with you guys just the importance as jiu-jitsu practitioners, how important it is to stop and meditate every day. I want to share that with you. I think it's just been phenomenal. So anyways, we can talk about the fight, but I just wanted to share that. I thought that was, I think it's important.
I think that's super true. No, I need to start doing that, maybe with or without the app, but I need to start meditating myself. It's something I've been telling myself I need to start meditating for probably like 6 months now, and I just need to start doing it. So especially if that's all it takes, 10, 15 minutes, you don't really have anything to lose. I'm wasting at least an hour or more of my day every day, honestly. You know what I mean? I could be doing something trying to benefit myself for 10 or 15 minutes. I think it could help a lot. Have you ever meditated, Frank? What do you think about that? You think it helps jiu-jitsu a lot? Well, I think we're playing a semantical game because it's been around for exactly. I think for thousands and thousands of years, and we can call it meditation, we can call it intention, we can call it prayer, we can call it visualization, we can call it exercise, imagination. It's very valuable. There have been a lot of people that would say that. And I'm one of them, by the way. I was telling you off air earlier, Noah. Mind Jitsu is really my biggest baby. I mean, I have not been able to really monetize Mind Jitsu. I've had the Mind Jitsu brand for, my gosh, probably 10 years now. And Mind Jitsu is art of mind, right? So Jitsu, for those of us, gentle art means, the gentle art, right? So the Jitsu part is the art, and then Ju is gentle, and Mind Jitsu would be art of mind. Life Jitsu would be art of life. And so I've always loved that concept of sort of, as a philosophy major, the art of mind, the art of your mindset.
And I know when I teach the few clients that I have for Mind Jitsu, most of them in New York, as I was saying, you off there, Noah, is that the last 15 minutes before you go to bed are crucial. Those are crucial. And then I was just talking to a client literally 20 minutes ago in New York, and who was dealing with some issues, and he's at a company, he makes a lot of money. He's got a new boss that came in. The company's doing well, but the new boss is changing everything. He's stressed at it. He's highly stressed. And so we were talking about these same things. And I'm like, just the first thing, when you roto-rooter your subconscious and you roto-rooter the assumptions that are behind your subconscious, and you dig in, what's the value judgment behind your subconscious mind? And it really, you start with that roto-rootering. What's the conversation you're having 15 minutes before you go to bed? Because you're about to sleep for 6, 7, 8 hours, and your mind's about to do its own thing. Well, someone like me would believe, and a lot of psychologists would believe, that you can sort of shape that dream. You're not going to have complete control over what that 6 to 8 minutes is, but you can have some control over it just by visualizing or meditating or praying, whatever you want to call it, imagining. And you're doing that 15 minutes. I used to do this, by the way, guys. So you do that 15 minutes before, and then, as you just said, 15 minutes when you wake up. Why? Because that's the most important. The most important thing is to start off the day on the right foot, set the tone for the day, right? If you have a bad morning, it increases the odds the whole day goes wrong. If you poorly plan the day, it increases the odds that it's a bad day. Now, getting specifically to jiu-jitsu, when I think I was 37, 38, and I was going through a divorce, and I remember I used to sit there. So when things are going stressful, as you know too, Noah, you work a lot of hours, and when things are going stressful, sometimes it can be hard to sleep. So I would lay down to go to bed, and sometimes if you're really stressed, you're laying there, and there's nothing worse than you want to go to sleep, but your body won't cooperate, right? You're just sitting there, and you're like, well, 20 minutes went by, and 30 minutes went by, and 45 minutes went by. Anybody who's ever had the insomnia where you're like, I need to get to sleep, big day tomorrow. And so I was like, well, you can't force that, right? Like when you have insomnia, if you try to force it, it's worse. Like if you try to make yourself go to sleep, it's a very relaxed. The best sleep is relaxed, peaceful sleep. It's not, you can't force it and be like, go to sleep, Frank, go to sleep, finally go to sleep. You can't force that, right? Your body will be times 10 harder. So what I would do is I just started playing jiu-jitsu in my head, and I would just have jiu-jitsu matches in my head, and I would fall asleep to that. And I thought, not only would it help me go to sleep, but it would help your jiu-jitsu game, because you have this, you have your imaginary opponent, and you're working on things, and you're at a tournament, and you're live, and you're visualizing. So I was like, wow, that just helped your jiu-jitsu game. So in the worst case, if you're not meditating, like what you're saying, you have an app you found, Noah, that you like, and he's talking about things that matter to you, that calm you, that relax you, that maybe even reprogram some subconscious fears or some programming you don't want. So conscious mind programming, your conscious mind is going in there and rewriting the subconscious programming. But in addition, okay, for those people out there who are like, look, Frank, I'm 20 years old. Meditation is a foreign concept. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't really want to listen to that. Well, I would just say a baby version of it would be play jiu-jitsu in your head. Just keep having matches and just keep playing and play different scenarios. And then eventually you can work to something higher, right? You can work to something higher, but at least it's productive, right? If you're in the worst case, if you're thinking of jiu-jitsu, at least your jiu-jitsu is probably going to get better, right? So that's.
Yeah, this type, there's different forms of meditation, and Sam Harris, for the first 20 sessions, he guides you through Vipassana, which is just a recognition of that you have thoughts, and just you don't tangle up with them that much. But what you just said about as far as you're leading into sleep and then when you wake up, there's I think I don't know where I heard this from or where I've read it from, but as part of what expert practitioners, people who become experts.
I'm an expert. I've been sleeping for almost 48 years. I'm an expert on sleep too. So I'm an expert on my sleep, because I've been doing it almost 48 years. So 48 years of experience makes me an expert on my sleep.
But I'm referring to the neuroscience of what you get your brain to say. What is truly important to you is we talk often about expert practice and what would experts do and what deliberate practice, and that what you just referred to, that technique, in addition to the meditation I'm referring to, what you're talking about with the visualization. Now, if you're trying to memorize things, and if you spend 10 minutes rehearsing it, mental rehearsal prior to bed, and then a few minutes immediately upon waking up, like if you're learning flashcards or something that's memory intensive, um, that that technique is shown to be extremely effective. I wanted to ask Jordan, um, do you change any of your habits, any of your mental practice habits whenever you know you're going to fight? Do you change your mental what's what and what are your current day-to-day mental training habits that you do?
I definitely try to. I definitely do my absolute best to. When I when I am in fight camp and I have a guaranteed opponent, well, not guaranteed opponent, but I have an opponent lined up in line to fight, and I actually know who I'm fighting. I know the fight day. I'm in camp. I'm weight cutting. I'm eating healthy and stuff. I try and visualize the fight every single day that I'm in camp. I try and visualize what I'm going to do. I try and visualize what my strengths are going to be, how I'm going to look when I fight, and I try and visualize being calm, not being influenced by the crowd, just being calm and cool and collected underneath the lights. And I just visualize myself. I visualize the walkout a lot. I see myself walking out to the cage, and then mainly a lot of my visualization is pre-fight. I'm trying to keep myself calm before I walk out to the cage, because the hard part for me personally is all the stuff that happens. I'm sure it is for everybody too. A lot of people say fighting is the easy part. You know what I mean? The hard stuff's what happens behind the scenes. The easy part of fighting is walking into the cage and touching gloves with the guy and then going and fighting that guy. That's the easy part. The difficult part is controlling your emotions, walking out to the cage, controlling your emotions backstage, having a good warm up, getting a good sweat. You know what I mean? Going to be your training partner. What kind of warm up are you going to do? Are you going to hit mitts? Are you going to grapple a little bit? My best times I've felt is when I had planned warm up with my good buddy Mike Wilson before stage. Mike Wilson's one of the black belts at our gym now. He used to be my roommate. He's one of my really, really good friends. I look at him almost as like an older brother. And every single time, me and him have had a pre-planned game. Like for my first fight and my second fight, we had a good warm up, and I felt great going out into my fight. But my last fight that I just unfortunately lost, I kind of wasn't really doing all of that stuff that I needed to be doing mentally. You know what I mean? I had other life issues going on in my life that was like hindering me from being as positive or as confident as I possibly could have been pre-fight. You know what I mean? I kind of had like a cloudy
So
vision. I
right
ended up
right
a lot
there.
more mentally ready in my first two fights. You know what I mean? And
So
so in my third fight, I was just like, you know what? I don't care. I don't care. I know how to fight. Once I go in there and I get into the ring, like I'm not gonna think about all that other stuff that's been bothering me through the camp. I'm just gonna get in there, touch gloves, and I'm gonna beat this dude up because that's just what I do. But I wasn't like mentally thinking about exactly what I was going to do. You know what I mean? I had too many other things pulling me away from my mental focus, and I think that's another reason why I had a bad performance in my last fight. My first two fights. I know I lost my first fight technically, but everybody in that crowd thought that I won that fight. I lost a very, 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 very close split decision fight, and I honestly don't know how the judges seen that I lost that fight, but I feel like I did very well in my first fight, even though I did lose a split decision. I did very well in my second fight, and I got the TKO. And those fights, I had a good warm up. I had good mental preparation, but then my third fight wasn't so much, and you can see the results from that.
I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No, you're okay.
I was trying to jump on something that you said, and so Frank, I'll come to you in a second. Um, be, but I want to come back to. I want to first, like every day in we're showing up. Most professionals are showing up, and they're having a daily fight every day.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
mean, most white collar and blue collar professionals, day in, day out, that's their performance zone.
Uh-huh.
And, you know, from this process of meditation that I've been doing, I'm noticing some of the self-talk that I have. You know, this endless repeating, this endless telling myself the same message over and over and over.
Yeah.
And you know, like for me, you know, I'll go in and I'm telling myself I'm not as good. You know, some of the imposter syndrome things happen, or oh, my cardio is not good. I tell myself a lot of negative messaging,
Yeah. You have a lot of negative self-talk. Yeah.
lots of negative self-talk going on, and that is normal. I think. I
I
think
think it
that's
is for
no.
most people. I really do.
Do you think that? Do you think that the way you just explained things and how they led up to success in your first two fights, do you think that there was more negative self-talk occurring in your third fight? Or was it something a little bit more, or was the situation different than a recurring
Probably,
negative?
probably yes. There probably was a little bit more negative self-talk in my most recent fight, but there's always negative self-talk in my head. I'm kind of like the same way. No, I'm not. I have a lot of
So
a
are
lot of
99%
a
of
lot of.
people, by the way. It's normal. 99%
That's
of
what I was saying.
people
That's what
have
I was
those
saying.
damn
I
fears,
think,
whether it be public speaking, fighting. People are scared
yeah,
of that. That's a normal
Oh,
thing.
sure.
exactly. I think the people that are extremely confident and full of themselves and sure of themselves are the anomalies. Honestly, I think most people, as an
Yeah,
average, as most people are not super confident people.
for sure.
Yeah, yeah. I'm walking it down right now. You know,
That's why they talk about 10,000 hours or however many hours you want to assign to things, because everybody has those fears. That's a normal
sure.
thing. You're not, because you have those fears partly because you don't know the terrain. You don't have the map until you get out there and have, you know, even if you train a lot on a mat in a tournament, you practice a lot. If you're not competing in tournaments, and like you were saying, Jordan, you're not used to the crowd. You're not used to
Yeah, yeah,
some of these things that can happen with the officiating. You're not used to the guy's mother, and he's got 50 people with them, and then they're yelling stuff. I remember
yeah,
one tournament I had in Las Vegas, and I competed against Jerry Shapiro. Jerry Shapiro is a really
yeah.
good black belt there from Cobra Kai, and that this was 2009. And at that tournament, normally people aren't allowed to come up on the edge of the mat, right? Everybody came up on the edge of the mat. So, you know, there's a big circle, right? We had a wrestling
Yes,
mat, we had a
yes,
circle,
yes.
and everybody. So normally the crowd is supposed to be like, there's a buffer, right? There's the stands, and then there's 10 or 15 feet, then there's a score table, and then there's and then there's the mat. Well, in this case, the fans were able to sit, and he had like 50 people, I had like 3, and they were able to sit right on the edge of the mat. So you got 20 people yelling, "Do this, kill them," do this. Well,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
you have to kind of get used to that so that you don't pay attention to that. If you're new and
Exactly.
that's going on, your tendency would be like, can I turn to the ref and be like, "Hey, ref, are they allowed at the end of that circle like that? And are they right up on top of me?" And like, so until you get that experience of everything that could go wrong, right? And that takes not everything, but a lot of the things that can go wrong. That takes a long time. And so either you acquire it or you have someone in your ear. You have a coach, you have an expert that's been through it that sort of guides you. Hey, Jordan, heads up. This is going to happen. I want you to do this, and I want you to focus, right? So hopefully you have somebody. If you don't have the experience, you're with someone that does, and they can read the temperature. A really good coach can read their fighter, right? So Jordan's been with his coaches. The longer you're with them, they can read you. If you're stiffer than normal, if something's wrong, if something's distracting you, this is not all on the athlete. A lot of this is also on your coaches or your friends, whoever they're with you, to read you and know, hey man, like just to have that conversation of what's the one or two things that my guy's not the same tonight. Something's off or whatever. And you want, maybe the night before, you want to catch that and you want to address that and you want to paint a picture of some more optimistic or some more empowering outcome. So it doesn't all fall. Jordan, what are you, 21, Jordan? How old are you?
23, man. I'm about to be
he's
24, dude.
23.
I'm
he's
Okay,
old.
24 almost. Come
Jordan's
on.
is Jordan's You know, Jordan's wow.
He's growing up.
Though, Frank. Everybody's been telling me I look like 25, 26 lately.
You look like a young Keanu Reeves. You look like Keanu Reeves double with the haircut. But so a lot of this, even at 25, right? And Jordan's got a lot of experience. He's trained with some of the best in the world. He's got good coaches. But even then, you have to still lean on your coaches because he doesn't have the experience that Casey has. As good as Jordan is and as much as he can catch people, he doesn't have the experience. So you're counting on someone else that you trust, that has more expert eyes, that can read the temperature and say, hey, buddy, heads up. Or you can detect. We're all human, dude. There's nights I can say, I mean, again, I say go watch Like Water. Like Water is the documentary on Anderson Silva, right?
Yeah.
And go watch, before the first Chael Sonnen fight, the great Anderson Silva, when he was at his zenith, when he was pretty much looking unbeatable, and he was the man, and he was the best pound for pound. And there's a scene in there, the week of the fight with Chael Sonnen, and he's just like, you know, Anderson Silva's like, I just want to go home. I just want to be with my family. Why do I do this?
Yep.
Why do I do this? Why am I even doing this? Right? And of course, he had a really tough fight with Chael Sonnen. He had a hurt rib. We found out later, and then he annihilated Chael in the second fight. But my point is, we saw it with GSP. If we could get into the brains of all of them, even jiu-jitsu people, because even if you're the best, right? Let's say you're the best guy in the world, right? You're Marcelo Garcia. You're the Mendez brothers at their zenith, or Roger. You could still have in your mind, listen, if I have to face Jordan, I know maybe I'm thinking I'm the best, but I'm thinking this guy has nothing to lose. And if I lose, what do I lose? How stupid am I going to look? Like, your brain plays tricks on you, even when you're Roger Gracie or you're elite. Your brain plays tricks when you get in those situations. Like, wow, this guy or this girl has nothing to lose. They have a style that's a little unorthodox. So this is a normal navigation, and ideally the athlete doesn't have to go it alone. They have coaches, they have relatives, maybe they have a professional like you're alluding to, Noah, that helps them through it. One other thing I want to say, though, and this is very important because this is part of the value of visualization and the value of what, you know, whether you're meditating, you're visualizing it. One of the things that happens is when that fear kicks in, right? So as Jordan said, by the time you get to the cage or you get to the mat, you make that first contact, you know, you're just ready to fight. But one of the problems is if you get too excited, what happens is if you get too excited, you have that adrenaline dump. If you come out there with too much fear, then you are going to waste so much energy. And so not only are you going to waste energy with the adrenaline dump, which is a big problem, but the other thing is it clouds judgment, right? We talked about that last time, where misery causes mistakes, etc. Discomfort causes mistakes, and that's what you want to do. But so when you get that sort of that fight or flight, or you get too amped up, if you don't control your breathing, the bigger problem is your decision making, because you're not going to see the opportunities. You're not going to play the same great speed chess game when you speeded it up because of fear, because of a fear response, because you're not totally comfortable. So to me, one of the real values of visualization, yes, it helps you to control your fight or flight. It will help your energy levels so that you don't gas prematurely. But the other thing is it's going to help that decision making, where you can be in the moment and you can see that high kick, and you can see, you don't just go and get crazy and get rock'em sock'em, whatever. You still keep with an very intelligent, let your brain, when you're relaxed, your brain makes those split-second decisions we were talking about last time. Well, the relaxed brain makes those decisions, and it makes them quicker. The tense brain, you come in there with fear, and the visualization will help you not only on the technical X's and O's, not only on the energy, conserving your energy, but it also helps you. It helps you make better decisions in the moment, because you're slowing it down, and your ability to make those split-second decisions, the relaxed mind, goes up infinitely. So that's really part of the value of visualization. A lot of people don't talk about is the value of your decision making. So you want to visualize not just X's and O's, but you want to visualize so that I'm not scared if Jordan grabbed, Jordan got me in a front headlock, or maybe I'm like, I don't like front headlocks. Well, I visualize enough that, okay, Jordan's got a great front headlock. By the way, he doesn't. People out there listening, I don't know that he does. He's dangerous in other areas, but let's say he has a great front headlock, and I'm like, oh my God, don't go anywhere near this guy's front headlock, right? Well, it would behoove you before the fight to visualize, okay, if I get trapped in a figure four with Jordan, or you get trapped in a front headlock and this guy who's really feared for that, you need to see yourself keeping your calm, keeping your wits, and extracting and getting out of that situation. That would be a really good use of visualization.
Frank, I was, honestly, I was just, I was asking these questions because I knew as part of your as part of your as part of your practice that you have with your coaching practice, that you have some go-to techniques, that you share with your clients. So it was good to have Jordan expound a bit on some things he deals with. And I wanted to interject with, open it up with how I've long wanted to have a daily meditation practice. And I just wanted to share with you the joy, the strange joy that it's been giving me lately of it is empowering me to create space where I normally would react. And I'm noticing more of that. But whether it's sports performance, which this podcast is definitely a huge part of it, is about sports performance psychology, and talking about fights. And I do want to turn to Yoel Romero last night. I don't know if either of you watched the fight last night.
I didn't.
Well, since I'm the only one who did, I'll keep it brief. Yoel Romero, Cuban.
No, you can talk about it at length because we didn't watch it. You can be our eyes and ears. We can get your assessment, and then I'm familiar with all these fighters, so I'd love to hear your play-by-play.
Well, I know there's actually an Eddie Bravo event going on today, that Jordan may want to speak to. Yeah, yes. It's on UFC Fight Pass. But Yoel Romero. Yoel Romero. He's a Cuban national. He was a Cuban national wrestling team champion, and I think he was on the Olympic team. I'm not sure about
Olympic.
that.
I think he was a silver medalist, maybe, or something. I think he might have been silver or gold medalist.
So, what I don't understand is, and Joe Rogan was pounding away on this point last night. Why isn't Yoel Romero using his wrestling? Why does he want to stand and wait for Israel Adesanya to walk up? And why did he expect Israel Adesanya to walk up and expect him to be in firing range of Yoel's freak strength? Why? Yoel had at any time he could have taken Israel down. At any time.
He didn't try at all?
This was the disappointment of the night. It was a bad matchup. And Dana White said that he should have known better. He should have known better. He said it was just the ultimate fan in him to see that matchup. But now he recognizes that he should not have given in to his impulses. And
Yoel could have beat him.
Huh?
I think Yoel could have beat him
if he had good strategy.
Exactly. If he would have went in there using his wrestling, I didn't watch the fight, so I don't know exactly what happened. But this is exactly what I was telling people leading up to this fight. I was like, all right, this is how I see it. I think Israel Adesanya is going to win, but Yoel Romero has the capabilities to win. I think if Yoel was trying to simply win this fight, I think Yoel would honestly win the fight a lot more times than Israel Adesanya. If he was fighting for a ref's decision, for like an MMA decision, if there's rounds and he can take him down and control him and win the decision, I think Yoel could have won this fight. But part of me knew that Yoel was just going to go in there and strike with Israel Adesanya. Yoel was trying to prove a point, I think, and was trying to go in there and prove that he could strike with Izzy, and you just can't strike with Izzy. That guy's way too good.
It was a horrible. If you watch the first minute, you'll see what the rest of the fight was like. Yoel walked out. He walked out there and he stood still, flat-footed, and I'm not exaggerating. He stood motionless for about 15 seconds. He was a statue in the center of the ring. And so politically he would say, I'm in the middle of the ring, bring the fight to me. And everyone was like, no, challenger. You need to hunt, you need to box, you need to hunt down Israel. And then towards in the last round, Yoel he would do this like crazy bull thing where he would jump up and like he's gonna go like a wrestling, he's like you would do a wrestling takedown. He would jump up and fake like he was gonna go forward.
Sounds like something Bell would do.
And I'm like, I never want to see this guy fight again. I never want to see. I would. What I did see last night was a classic in the preceding fight, the championship.
And the Chinese girl.
Yeah, we need to learn her name because she
Zreal or something like that.
Jingling Chang something.
I'm not gonna try and say it, brother. I'm gonna sound racist trying to say it.
No, you're trying. I mean, give you a pass. You're trying. But that 25 minutes is classic, and it will be a Hall of Fame fight. Those two.
Fight while it was going on.
What's up?
I said I watched parts of that fight while it was going on.
Yeah.
I was at a jiu-jitsu event. I was at Sub Hunter Pro 53 last night. A jiu-jitsu event, Listen Hunter, and my friend was watching it on his phone a little bit. So I looked over and watched a little bit of the Joanna and Champions fight.
There's one thing I observed that I want to share with you guys, and one of the commentators said that Israel. Well, first of all, they have this pageantry that's taken over the UFC that looks a lot like the WWE, where they have pageantry coming out, and Tyson Fury did it, and so did Deontay Wilder, which we need to talk about again. We'll get to that one, but what I'm interested in is something you said, Jordan. Jordan, you said that you visualize all the prior to the fight, prior to the first punches for your fights.
That's the most important visualization for me.
What that maybe most important, something that world-class athlete Israel said that he does is he said that he was envisioning, or the commentator said that he had already thought through how he would handle himself immediately after the fight. So there's that. There's that too. Yeah. You said that the most important part was before the first punches. Is there any other mental preparation that you do? Do you give anything to what you will say or what you will think or how you behave after the fight?
No.
You don't?
Not at all. And I don't think I ever will.
Yeah.
Well, that's not true. If I see myself thinking about it, if I later on down the line, if I had a fight where I know the winner of that fight is in line to fight somebody else. You know what I mean? Say I'm in line to fight. If I win this next fight, I know the winner of my next fight is going to have a title shot with the next champion. Or I'll be in line. I'll be in line for a title shot. I'll know that I'm the best contender for the next title shot. Then if it was a fight like that, then I'll be after I win this fight, I'm gonna call out the champion. What am I gonna say when I call out the champion?
Right.
But other than that, thinking about how I'm gonna act and thinking about how I'm gonna say and calling somebody out, I don't know. I like to just live in the moment. I'm not a really. You seem like a guy that plans a lot of things out. No, I don't. Same thing with you, Frank. You were you have to plan your day, and in the beginning of your day, it's smart to plan your day out.
There are many athletes, probably many of the best athletes in history have not been heavy on visualization. They're just doers. There's no one way to do it. There are people that do it phenomenally. There are people that are just monkey see, monkey do. I've seen wrestlers and they weren't too big on the visualization. Just like the NFL, you've got film study players like Tom Brady and Ray Lewis and Peyton Manning who will sit there and Russell Wilson and they'll analyze film like no other. And then you've just got athletes that don't watch as much film, but they're beasts on Sunday. And it's every, you can certainly be successful. I would encourage everyone to do it. But some people, it's just not their thing. They don't have a very vivid, their imagination doesn't work that way. They're more body intelligence than the visual side of it. So there's no one way. But I want to go to the Yoel Romero fight because it evoked a lot of things in me. I did not see the fight. But since I used to work for UFC and I have been to major marquee, hundreds of these fights, and I've watched thousands, I want to weigh in because based on reading the punch stats and what you're telling me, first of all, I'm surprised that Yoel would sit there and basically, and for the most part, abandon his wrestling. That's shocking to me. However, with a big asterisk, if you followed boxing for a long time and you followed UFC, particularly with Latin fighters, okay, there's a lot of bravado and machismo. And I'm not just, it's not exclusive, but you see it a lot where there's a lot of pride and there's a lot of the first. So when this was not two Latins, but when Usman fought Covington, great fight, right? Both of those guys can wrestle. Nobody shot. Those guys are good wrestlers. Nobody shot the whole time. Now, why? And it was unwise for both guys not to shoot. Why didn't they? Because there was so much bad blood. It was a pride thing. It was like, I'm not giving you the satisfaction. You hit me hard, I'm not going to dive in for a takedown. I'm not giving you the satisfaction. No matter how much you visualize, you're still human. These fighters, elite ones, they have a lot of pride, okay? And you live by that sword, you die by that sword. They're not the kind that just abandon their pride because the pride is part of what helps them be great. And so the pride can also get in the way. It burns both ways. And so especially I've seen it in my experience with a lot of the Latin fighters, with a lot of machismo and bravado. Yoel Romero is from Cuba and saying, listen, brother, I can knock you out. You're supposed to be the greatest thing since sliced bread with striking. Mm-hmm. I'll knock you out like I knocked out blank and blank and blank and blank. I'm not giving you satisfaction. I can beat you at your own game. There's a lot of gratification for some people, not just Latin fighters. There's a lot of gratification to say if Jordan and I were opponents and I say, dude, I'll beat you at your game. That's how good I am. Not only will I beat you at my game, I'll beat you at your game.
Okay,
and
that makes sense.
A lot of pride. There's a lot of pride. I mean, a lot of people will tell you in general, if you ask most fighters, what feels better? I submitted my opponent or I knocked my opponent out. If there's bad blood, okay, if there's bad blood, most are going to tell you which one made you feel better to shut that guy up. It's not choking him out in general. Even regular people who don't train jiu-jitsu, if you ask them, what would they want to do? Like, what do they say? Nobody says, man, that guy's a jerk. I'd love to armbar him. They say, I'd like to punch him in the face. People say that. They get upset with somebody. That's the image people have, which is, no, choking the guy or armbarring him and then the ref stopping it lets him off easy. Hitting him with ground and pound and making him pay and slicing him up, a lot of guys take a lot more pride in that. So there's a lot that can go on in a guy's psychology where you say, wow, again, maybe too emotional, right? Yoel is an emotional guy and just saying, look, I'll beat you at your own game. I'm better than you. I hit harder than you. It is a surprise to me, but I can say this. I've seen it tons of times. You see it in UFC where a lot of wrestlers come along and then they become boxers. Johnny Hendricks, right, who I love, great guy, but they abandon their wrestling. There's so many of them. They abandon their wrestling. Even Tyron Woodley, they become strikers and they abandon their wrestling. You're like, where's your wrestling, right? So that's to that point. This is not actually that unusual. Usman and Covington did it.
That makes perfect sense what you're saying.
Now, by the way, let's go to the Zhuo, however you pronounce the name. I want to say this, and I spent 3 weeks in China doing seminars. I loved my experience over there in Beijing with the Beijing Sports University, and I can say what she is doing. And I did not see the fight, but I saw the punch stats, which are ridiculous. Like,
yes.
If you're a fight fan and you look at the output. I mean, I was just following that on ESPN. I was like, oh my goodness, I missed a great one, right? That's one of those where you kick yourself. You're like, why didn't I watch that fight? Mm-hmm. I was like, those the punch stats, 500 punches each, like that's just off the charts. That pace is insane. But what she's done, I think very highly of Joanna J. What she has done is amazing in a country where they don't have anywhere near the level of martial arts jiu-jitsu. For her to do that. We see people coming out of Australia and they're winning titles now, and they're only 20 million, and that's really impressive. But to come out of China, yes, they have 1.3 billion people, but they're just not. It's not a hotbed for the training. It's not a mecca. What she is doing is amazing and incredible, especially coming from a country not known for that, not known for the cage fighting thing, right? They're not known for that, even though they have a great martial arts tradition from years back. Modern day, they're not known for that. For her to come there and to be, to be the best, and this fighting spirit she shows, she's phenomenal. And I wouldn't be surprised if she's probably one of the three most popular athletes in China. You got Yao Ming. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, she's got to be
a national. She's a national treasure for them.
Yeah.
I mean, 1,300,000,000. That's a lot of people. Thank you, Frank, for your analysis, because that's spot on. And Jordan, you're just a different personality type for the planning and and how you approach things. Professionally,
I don't really plan anything throughout my life. Visualization. I was thinking about planning things out more than visualization right there too, Frank. I was like, because I do visualize, but I was specifically talking about planning things out. I think some people are planners. I think some people like to have like a checklist and a plan of things to do, and then some people are just free and they just like to go and live and then do things as they do. You know what I mean? So that's what I was talking about right there.
But you are also an amateur fighter, and you do exercise. You say that's good. That's good talk. That I just live off the cuff. But I would tell you that you do more focused planning than I do, because that's what's made you a terrific threat on the ground with your jiu-jitsu. You do a lot of planning. It's just because so it's just what you plan is to for me. I mean, I plan everything. I probably plan less on my entertainment or my hobbies than I do my professional life. So it's just a natural strength of mine, to plan out things.
And I wish I did. I wish I planned better. I honestly wish I could. But when I have a whole plan and I have a checklist, like, okay, 1 to 3, I'm doing this, and then 2 to 5, I'm doing this, and then 5 to 7, I'm doing this. I wake up stressed out, dude. I'm like, oh man, like I gotta do this and this and this and this. Like, I can't do that, man. Like, I just gotta live, dude. I just gotta all right, I'll get it done when I get it done, man. Like, if I've got like a mandate, like this is what I'm doing today. I'm stressed out, man. I don't live
like that either, though.
Yeah.
I don't have. I woke up and I looked at my phone and it was 11:15. But I was up till 3 something watching the UFC. So, and then we had the time change. So
we did have the time change.
That's right. That's why Frank.
Bro, we all have black on today, by the way. We have every haircut in the world represented, every possible, and we're all rocking the black, which is interesting.
Sure.
I want to also say there's another fighter that came back from WADA suspension, and I didn't know him before, but his hairstyle,
O'Malley?
Not during the fight, but Sean Sugar O'Malley.
Yep. O'Malley. I want to beat him up.
Do you? Do you have that sentiment?
I want to beat that dude up. Yeah. I'm
okay.
Going to beat that dude up.
You want to beat him up?
I'm going to beat him up. It's just a matter of time.
Okay. He had a great fight. So, how would you beat him up?
My jiu-jitsu is way better than his. I feel like I hit harder than him. I'm bigger than him.
Are you in the same weight class?
When I fight at 45 right now, but that's just because I'm amateur. When I go pro, I've already made I know I have to go 35. I either have to bulk up and continue at 45, or I have to cut down and go to 35. And I don't want to bulk, so I'm just going to cut to 35.
Are you going to wear the High Rollers shirt into the octagon?
Yes, sir. I smoke more weed than Sean O'Malley. I'm better than Sean O'Malley everywhere. Sean O'Malley can't handle me. I'm better at video games than Sean O'Malley. Sean O'Malley stole my whole swagger. I was supposed to be famous before him.
I was just commenting on his hair, and I just brought him up because I thought that his style and his dominance in the octagon
I'm a fan. I like him.
was admirable. And he just took 2 years off of professional fighting, but he did not take a minute off of training.
No, I
Do
follow
you
him on
think
social media. I follow him on YouTube too. I watch his training routines. I see what he's doing. I follow this guy pretty closely.
Noah,
Okay.
do you think you could take Sean O'Malley in a sparring session? Do you think you could take him out? Cage sparring session.
I don't do
MMA.
striking. I don't do any striking. You're talking about
You
Jordan.
could- No, you. I'm talking about you though. Do you think you got some weight on him? Do you think you could take him?
As soon as we hit the mat,
Why is he going to take you down? There's no reason that Sean O'Malley should take you down.
yeah, he's going to try to. Well, if we're agreed that this is a non-striking, this is a jiu-jitsu only.
No, this is striking. This is striking.
Oh, I don't do striking. Stop. That's a full stop. I don't do striking.
You shoot in and take him down.
I don't do striking though. I don't. I'm not.
You have takedowns or no? You don't have any takedowns?
Oh, I'm a bull. I will. He will come one with the cage. He will be not. He will be. The squares in between. That's just all Sean O'Malley now.
Okay, would you take Sean O'Malley in a jiu-jitsu match? If in a jiu-jitsu match, you think you can take him? You think your blue belt skills are good enough to take Sean O'Malley?
No, but I have a heart of a champion. I would die on my shield.
How does that go? How does that go? How does the jiu-jitsu match for you and Sean O'Malley go?
Why? I don't have a beef with him. I don't have a beef with him. Jordan does. I'll send Jordan in.
Jiu-jitsu match. Jiu-jitsu match. That would be amazing for me. That's like something 100%. I feel very confident I would beat him in a jiu-jitsu match.
I would.
In an MMA match, it would be a very tough fight. It would be very, very tough, but I still think I could beat him in a fist fight. I'm pretty positive I could beat Sean up.
I would tag out to Jordan and let Jordan complete the submission on him, just so he could have that little, to give his little blood, his little eyes, squeeze them so that they're nice and red.
I'd break his leg super easy.
Oh my God! Why do you want his legs?
I'd get on his leg, break his leg super easy. His little arms are real easy. I'd Kimura trap him, break his shoulder nasty. His jiu-jitsu doesn't impress me. His striking impresses me, but then even still, I feel like my frame's bigger than his frame. If I hit him, I'm going to hit him harder. He's just faster than me.
Where does he train out of?
He trains more athleticism than me. If I get on my athleticism, I start doing my little ladders, you know what I mean, on the Versa climber, get my athleticism up, I'm for sure going to be faster than him.
Yeah, he was fast. He was in and out, bing, 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 bing.
He's fast, but he gets people. I'm a fan of what he does. He gets people watching him. As soon as you're watching him, you're no longer fighting him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He gets people to turn in from a spectator, and that's how all of my favorite fighters are. That's what Anderson Silva would do. There's this guy Michael Venom Page in Bellator. He's another one of my favorite fighters. That's what all of these guys do. That's like how Roy Jones Jr. would box. Roy Jones Jr. would get guys mesmerized. He would get guys to watch him, and they would no longer be boxing them. You know what I mean? And once they start watching him and they stop fighting him, then he would hit them with something that they've never seen before. You know what I mean? That's what Sean's doing to these guys. Sean's doing stuff that should not work, period. He's doing stuff that isn't supposed to work. That's against the norm, unorthodox striking, but it's working for him because he's getting guys flashed by the flashiness. He's getting guys to be like, oh, wow, what's he doing? What's he going to do next? Is he going to spin? What's he going to do? And as soon as you're thinking about what he's going to do next and you're not reacting, he's going to beat you up. He's going to light you up. And he's really good at it. I'm a fan of him. He's good, but I could beat him up for sure. He ain't going to do that to me.
Well, I think he trains out of Denver, so it's not a far trip for you to take.
He trains in Arizona sometimes too at Soul Fighters Academy. He trains at Soul Fighters sometimes, and I believe it's in Arizona. He trains out of Denver majorly, but I see online a lot of the time that he's at this place called Soul Fighters in Arizona.
Do you have a beef with him personally, or is it just a style thing?
No. I don't
Okay.
have any real problems with him. I'm a fan of him. A lot of people compare him to me, and I honestly think that I could beat him. You know? So I honestly, legitimately, 100, wholeheartedly think that I have the ability to beat him.
And that's how a fighter, and that is how a fighter is supposed to think. Nobody should condemn you for thinking that. because that's what makes the fight world go round. Competitive people that look at someone, you might respect them, but you say, you know what, I think I'd beat him. And that's the challenge that people put in front of themselves, and that's how a fighter thinks. A fighter always thinks, dude, I could beat him. That's how you're supposed to think.
Maybe
if somebody doesn't think like that, they shouldn't be a fighter, by the way. Really quick though, let me go to another point, because you said something. You said, you're not big into visualization, blah blah blah. And so it is important to note that you have people that go home and before they sleep, or they'll visualize, or when they're driving their car, they're visualizing, and they're walking, hiking, they're visualizing. Yeah. So you were saying,
I am big on visualization,
I'm
by the
making
way.
a comment. I'm actually in support of what you were saying. So what I'm saying is, there are a lot of athletes who do what I would call active visualization, where they're intentionally driving their car, or they're going to go to bed, they're playing jiu-jitsu in their head, or they're hiking, or they're cycling, and they're thinking, they're visualizing it, or they're watching tape like a Mikey Wilson match, rewinding, and that is more of an active visualization. However, there are a lot in the category where you're talking about, and their visualization simply comes from the repetition on the mat. Every time we roll, like you and I would go, if you're training 2-3 times a day, those are mental visualizations. They are creating a visual in the brain, because I'm in front of Jordan and I'm paying attention to, oh, he's moving his knee like that. So those are mental repetitions, right? They're just live instead of imagined, and they are very valuable. You get someone like a Marcelo Garcia, who maybe didn't do a lot of visualization, but their mat time, their thousands of hours of mat time, are such that it amounts to visualization, because someone spent so many hours on the mat. That is just as valid as somebody who might train once a day, but they watch video and they're playing in their head. Well, some people are, like in Brazil, they're living in that gym, so they're training 5-6 hours a day. Well, that's akin to visualization.
So
Who's on
you're
the
talking
practice field.
In my eyes, you're talking about two different types of visual, but not necessarily two different types.
No. But what I am saying though, yes, I am saying what I am describing. One is a de facto visualization, where it's not considered visualization, but someone like me would de facto consider it. In other words, it gives someone the same benefits as an active visualization. I'm not saying it's visualization. I'm saying it's what I would consider a de facto visualization, where it's just as effective, if not more. And there's one other point to mention on the point of that, and that is that someone can be this great visualizer, right? They're trying to mastermind. They're visualizing situations, so they're not afraid of things. They're playing ABCD. They're playing scenarios in their head, and they can do all of that. And that person could very easily lose to somebody who doesn't do a lot of visualization for these reasons. One would be that the other person, there's a lot of other factors. There's the battle of faith, which is, you have some athletes, like let's say an Andre Galbao or the Mendez brothers. They're very religious, or Checha, and they don't overthink things a lot of times. They're just like, look, I got my practice in. I practice a lot. I'm very confident. And they're going to show up really confident, and they're going to be on autopilot, and their brain's going to make decisions. You have somebody else who visualizes a lot.
God wants them to win.
Right. So you have somebody else who visualizes a lot, but they're a high nervous energy person, right? They're high nerves. And that person who is high nerves, and their brain is not going to work the same, even though they visualized a lot. But because they don't have the same faith, they're not in the moment, they're not as relaxed, they're not going to make the great decisions. So you have a lot of people out there who don't visualize a lot, who will crush people who do, because they just have more faith in the moment. They have more relaxation in the moment, or they just they live practice more. So there are a lot of different variables in that.
So
I'm a fan of visualization.
What I was trying to touch base on, Frank, when I was saying that there's two different, in my eyes, there's two different things, two different types of visualization, almost, that you're saying. So the two different types that you were talking about, yes, for sure. But I was talking about the simple, only mental aspect. There was two different types in my head, right? So, in my head, I don't do a lot of the mental visualization that you're talking about, Frank, where I actually visualize the match. I visualize jiu-jitsu. I play jiu-jitsu in my head. I don't do a lot of visualization like that in my head.
Right.
But the visualization that I do in my head is, I visualize myself how it will feel after I win. I visualize myself how it will feel before I walk out. I visualize myself more on the emotional aspect than the physical aspect. That's like, I visualize what it's going to look like with the medal in my hand. I'm going to visualize what I'm going to look like on the podium. I'm going to visualize how it's going to feel after I win. I'm going to visualize. I'm going to focus on nothing but winning. I'm going to see nothing but success. That's like the law of attraction and like visualization like that. Whereas that's what I was talking about. I do a lot of that. Whereas people call like the law, almost like the law of attraction, where like you're visualizing the desired outcome that you want. But then there's also visualization where you can actually visualize the event as it's transpiring and all the different possibilities. I don't really do that one. I don't really visualize like all like the all right like how's the match gonna go, this, that, the other. You know what I mean? I more visualize like okay, like Conor McGregor would talk about when he was extremely poor and he was driving around his beater car with his girlfriend that was breaking down, and then in like the slums of Ireland, and he was imagining himself driving around the beaches of California and Beverly Hills with his hands on a nice BMW wheel, and he's imagining his car as a very, very rich car, even though his car is all poor. He's in a terrible part of town. He's imagining that he's in a rich part of town. That's the type of visualization that I was talking about, where I feel like it's a little bit different than actually like visualizing yourself do jiu-jitsu and visualizing yourself in the match. You know what I'm saying? They're both visualization, but they're different types in my head. And I do the law of attraction type of one, where I'm saying where I imagine what I want. I don't necessarily imagine the match per se, but I imagine like exactly what I want out of the match. You get what I'm
Okay.
trying to tell you?
So, yeah, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
And there's so there's a couple of ways to talk about that. Mental wargaming is what I would. Mental wargaming is, there are options that happen. Like in my favorite submission, I'm going for a head and arm choke, and someone rolls away from me. We know that what we train is to go for the Ezekiel and to slide the outside knee up behind the head, pull them on. But so those are options, and let's just call that mental wargaming. Okay, and that
Yeah.
mental wargaming is what you're saying. You don't spend much time with that technique, and I think that
Because I spend so much time drilling and doing the other type of deliberate practice that Frank was talking about, where Frank was talking about so many hours you put in, you don't have to do that type of mental training because you are putting the time in on the mats and you're putting so many reps that your body just does it without having to think about it.
Jeff,
Yeah.
I'm at a desk, sometimes 16 hours a day, and I need to sleep the other 8. I don't have that privilege. I don't have that training privilege that you do.
Yes.
And so my adaptation, if I'm on an airplane flying to a client site 2 hours away, I cannot roll out onto the aisle and start drilling. So the vast majority of white I was going to say white collar professionals, but let's say the vast majority of people who have long day jobs, who are not amateur wanting to go pro fighters, have to adapt their training. And so this mental wargaming,
True, I haven't thought about this.
This mental wargaming that I go through is to supplement the time on the mats. There's a Latin phrase, ceteris paribus, which means all of the things being equal. So if I say ceteris paribus, if you, Jordan, the amateur fighter wanting to go pro, if you were to also do mental wargaming in the way that I'm describing it, that a white collar professional does, or someone who works a lot of hours who doesn't have as much time on the mat, if that version of Jordan would to compete against this same version of Jordan who only does a lot of mat time, physical mat time, and does what you call the emotional visualization, because what you're doing is you're developing your emotions with that. That mental war game visualization, I would I would suggest that that version of you would beat the other version because they are thinking
He's doing more.
he's doing more with his mind. He's doing more with his mind. And all
Yeah,
battles begin and end in the mind.
yeah, that's true.
Um, so yeah, the reason I do a little bit of mental work there because I don't get to train as much physically. And I really, for me to be a better in what I do in all things in my life, especially living in New York City. If you live in New York City, you have to plan. You have to plan multiple steps ahead than you do if where you are living in a car-based society. Okay, because if you go to the grocery store, you have, if you buy a lot of groceries, you're carrying them home. You're carrying them up your stairs, and you're putting them in your small, tiny apartment. So there's a more forethought that has to occur whenever you live in population dense areas. Or if you live in a non-car type environment. So that, what Frank said earlier about his best clients are the ones who come from the East Coast. What we're looking for an edge. We're looking for that mind jitsu, and these things, that we're talking about, these different types of visualization, plays into that. And I think that's a huge practice.
I want to talk about, you guys made me think of two things. So I thought of Mike Tyson and I thought of John Jones. So Mike Tyson, the young Mike Tyson that looked invincible when he was around between the ages of 19 and 21, when he was just a tornado. We'd never, everybody who saw Mike Tyson, it was like everybody almost seemed like on every corner of the earth, everyone was like, this Mike Tyson guy. It was just, even if you weren't a boxing fan, you had to watch this guy hit people and just watch how scared they were when the fight started and how people would just fall over and how devastatingly he would knock everybody out. We'd never seen anybody move that explosive throwing punches. And remember, the guy in his ear who deserves a lot of the credit for that is Gus D'Amato. I think there's even a movie called that. So Gus D'Amato, but this is an example where there's a lot of athletes like that. You see in football where the athlete themselves is not the visualizer at that time. Mike Tyson is very astute. He's very intelligent. He's a very smart guy. He's a great historian of boxing. He's very cerebral. But a young Mike Tyson, it was pretty much, hey, Gus D'Amato is going to tell you what to do. Go do it. Don't even think. You don't need to do the visualization, kid. You just go do what I showed you. We're going to drill. When that fight starts, you go do. Don't think about nothing. You're not going to be scared. You're going to kill this guy, Mike. Because Mike Tyson was very insecure too. Very insecure.
Yeah.
Very afraid before fights. Very afraid. And Gus D'Amato was like, you're going to kill him, Mike. You're going to do this. And Tyson's basic job was, look, I'm going to drill this repetition in you so much that it's automatic. You're automatic to your nervous system. You're just going to go do it. I'm going to pump you up a little bit. You're going to kill him, Mike. You're going to do this. This is what you're going to do, and you do it. So in that case, there's a lot of athletes like that in soccer and football, even in the fight game. We've seen, look, they have a Jedi in the corner, and the fighter's main job is they don't have to sit there and think about it and at the stoplight and whatever. They just like, look, I trust my coaches. Demetrius Johnson would be a great example of that with Matt Hume. Demetrius Johnson doesn't have to do all the troubleshooting. Say, what do? I do what Matt Hume tells me. I do what he trained me to do. And he buys in completely to what Matt Hume tells me. Like, Matt Hume told me what to do, I go do it. I don't sit there. Demetrius Johnson plays video games when he's not doing whatever. He relaxes. He's not sitting there doing all this stuff. He's saying, I trust my corner. I trust Matt Hume. I think Matt Hume's the smartest guy out there. I trust him to see that. And whatever Matt tells me to do in training and in a fight is what I do, period. So there are a big-time exceptions like that. John Jones. When John Jones first came out, 21 years old, this is what was fascinating about John Jones. John Jones, after 1.5 years, remember, he wrestled in Iowa at a community college in Iowa. I think he won a JUCO wrestling championship. And then he went and fought. He had only had 18 months of formal MMA training. And already Mike Tyson was the best in the world. John Jones. John Jones was the best after 18 months of training. You had guys who were training 10 years, 12 years, 13 years, and Jones would smoke them. Now, the UFC intentionally did not, they held John Jones back from fighting for the title because they were worried. I mean, there were people in the UFC in our building that were like, is he ready? He's kind of young. He's immature. He's got, he's a free spirit. There was worry. They made him. They gave him a longer road. You could have put John Jones in there very early, like 3 fights in, he would have beat everybody up. They made him. They made John earn it more. They wanted him to mature a little bit. Okay.
Okay.
Now, what did John Jones say at the time? He doesn't say it that much anymore. Guess what he said at a year and a half when he was smoking everybody, slamming guys on his head, bionic elbowing people, doing stuff we'd never seen. Guess what he said? What kind of fighter are you? I'm a monkey see, monkey do kind of fighter. I'm monkey see, monkey do. Meaning, I can watch this stuff on TV. I can see it one time, and I go, and I'm so confident, and I'm so talented. I can just see somebody else do it, and I'll do it in a fight, and I don't even need to drill it that much. There are those kind of athletes out there. I had Annalyn Molina, who's a blue belt of mine, who's my niece. Same thing. BJ Penn was like that. Even though he didn't have the work ethic, he didn't have the discipline, but you could show BJ Penn something one time, he could see someone else do it, and he's doing it. And you're like, wait, BJ, we're supposed to show you all the hidden details. Oh, no, I saw it. Monkey see, monkey do. There are special athletes like that. Fredson Pichal. There are special athletes like that. You just show them Mike Tyson, and they just do it. And they don't need to hyper-analyze it the way that we do because their body intelligence is so high and their confidence is so high and their confidence in their coach is so high, they'll just say, boom, I'll do it. Now, that's not the norm, but I've seen a lot of phenomenal athletes that are like that where they're just like John Jones, monkey see, monkey do. Hey, John, you're supposed to have 10 years of this training and all these repetitions. Nah, I saw the video. I know how to do that. I'm okay. I can do that. Oh, really? But you haven't done that hundreds of times. I can do that. And I'll do it in a live fight and beat world-class fighters with it. BJ Penn was like that early on. So that, we call people like that phenoms. That's why they called BJ Penn the phenom in his early years, the phenom. And there are phenoms out there like that where they don't do all the visualization, but they do. Now John Jones is a very mentally tough guy, very mentally tough. I think he's into the law of attraction. But I'm just saying, even early on, before he had all the reps, before he had all the mental reps and visualization, he was like, oh, I see that. Oh, that's how you throw an elbow? Okay, I'll do that. Boom. And the thing about John Jones that puts John Jones over the top, his confidence, his mental toughness, his ability to monkey see, monkey do. You show him it once or twice or whatever. And the other thing is, he's unpredictable. That's part of the reason he's been the best for so long is it's hard to game plan. You were talking about Yoel Romero. Even though Yoel didn't use his wrestling, right? Stupid, just that makes no sense. But even then, it's not hard to prepare for Yoel Romero because he's sort of the boxer wrestler, right? He's got some ground and pound. He's a boxer wrestler. You don't have to train for 10 different versions of Yoel Romero coming, right? You're going to train for some of the takedowns. You're going to train for some power in one of his hands, maybe an occasional kick, and that's it, and maybe a slam. But you don't have a bunch of things. He's really, very. By now, there's the videotape on Yoel is very reliable. You fight John Jones, you don't know what John Jones. It's kind of like Eddie Bravo in his prime, like back then. You don't know what this guy is going to do. You don't know. That unpredictability makes a lot of psychological pressure on the opponent because I don't think John Jones knows what he's going to do sometimes in the fight. He's just so in the moment. He's so relaxed. He's so confident. It's like, yeah, I'll start throwing this kick, and I didn't even work on it that much in camp. And he's unpredictable, and that's part of the genius. So there are great visualizers. I'm a fan of it. But there's a lot of other moving pieces. Your confidence, how quick you learn. Some of us, I'm not BJ Penn. I'm not Annalyn Molina. I'm not John Jones. I don't see things a couple times and I'm doing it. I like I like to break it down and see things like that. Mikey Musumeci likes to break down everything. But I've seen the Fredson Pichals, the Mike Tysons, the John Joneses, and I've seen them in football where they're like, yeah, I can run that route. How do you know how to do that? Well, I've been watching this guy. And they'll pick it up like that. And there's a lot of elite athletes that there's a surprising number that like they can learn very quickly, and you don't need to show them everything, and they'll do it better than someone who's drilled it hundreds of times or thousands of times. And people don't like to hear this because they don't like to hear the natural ability thing, but it's a very real thing. To me, what distinguishes John Jones to me is the natural ability. In addition, yes, he's very mentally tough, and he's very smart. But you can't teach that length. You can't teach some of the things he can do. I'm sorry. The natural ability is just off the charts, and good for him that he's confident enough and he's smart enough to know how to use it. But you can't teach that kind of length. And the things he can do, it's like you could sit there and visualize more than John Jones. You're not going to beat him. I'm sure he's fought guys that out-visualize him and then beat him. There are a lot of moving pieces. I would say if you're not the most athletically gifted, you better be a great visualizer. Like if you're super athletic and you have a Jedi in your ear like Matt Hume, you can maybe not be, you don't have to be as big on the visualization. You have great coaches and you've got great athleticism, whatever, and a great work ethic. But if you're not, if you're the athlete and you didn't hit the genetic jackpot and whatever, you better be a big time visualizer. That's going to be a big edge for you. You're going to have to lean on that more, and you're going to have to outwork everybody, and you're going to have to out visualize them.
Yep. What is that saying? They say, what is it? It's like the talented, hard workers beat the talented when the talented don't work hard, or something like that.
Yeah.
Something along those lines.
If you work twice as hard as John Jones, I like John Jones in the fight against you, Jordan. You can work 3 times harder than John Jones. I like him in the fight. I'll take John Jones.
Probably me too.
Covered some ground today.
So we're coming down home stretch. It's been a great episode. I like this stuff, dealing with the peak performance, the mental side of it, the visualization side of it. You know, good stuff, Jordan. Good stuff, Noah. Home stretch. We got about 3 or 4 minutes. Noah, anything top of mind you want to say? You want to plug Everyman?
No, I'm going to leave it open today.
All right, so we are Everyman BJJ. We invite any comments, any feedback, criticism. Just be kind about it. We appreciate criticism. We want to get better. We're putting more and more resources in this to get good. If you have any comments, feedback, positive criticism, it's everymanbjj@gmail.com. And again, Everyman is a reference to sort of Shakespeare. We're including every man and woman. We're big time in the women. The best fight of this last week was the women. The women fight with so much valor. So we're big time fans. Hopefully we have a lot of women viewers that participate and like what we're doing. I'm Frank Forza. This is my good friend Noah Green out in Mr. Manhattan. And this is my good friend Jordan Worth, 10th Planet, Brown Belt Extraordinaire. And until next time, next Sunday, every Sunday at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and 1:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We'll see you next week for Everyman BJJ episode 11. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Coming for you, Sean and Molly. See you guys later.